Good morning to you. Welcome to a new episode of Just a Thought. I want to share something about guilt, something I've been thinking about lately, and just want to share it with you. Um, well, it's great we have stories in this world because stories and myths are the ones that open up our understanding of things. And that's why for ages they're using and telling stories to each other to unlock knowledge in our own brain and give us a clear picture of how things works. And one of the myths and stories, a story that one of the myth or story what I really like is the creation story in the Bible. Well, it doesn't matter to me if you take it literally or not. That's not important for me. The problem is if you take it literally, suddenly it becomes a problem when snakes are talking, and the world is created in 6 days, and you get that kind of problems. And for me, that's not important to me. What for important is to me is that story contains a lot of things that tell something about humanity and the things we have to deal with, and one of the issues that we have to deal with is guilt. And from a young age we have to deal with guilt because it's always putting upon us. It's the way the world works, and so the funny thing in that story is, well, aside from if the world is created in 6 days and snakes are talking, well, the snakes is talking. That's a funny thing because how does gossip work, for example? Does it work like a snake sometimes? It's just crawling to the ground and it is whispering in your ear like, oh, that guy, he's not good. You cannot trust him. And sometimes, it's just, there are metaphors, and you have to treat them like that. And then it becomes a different story. So, Adam and Eve, two perfect people living in a perfect world, living in perfect harmony with their souls, with God. They were talking. They walked with Him in the garden, and so they had a great time. But unfortunately, there were two trees in the garden. One was the tree of life and death, and there was the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And so, from one of the trees, the first people in that story eat from the apple, the forbidden fruit. And so they became aware, because that's what the tree did. It gives you knowledge between good and evil. So there they were. And they had probably mistakes. And they had, issues. But they didn't saw it as problems. They didn't saw it as sin. They didn't saw it as brokenness before they eat. That it was just challenging and learning and, stuff like that. But suddenly, when they eat from the tree, there was knowledge between good and evil. And what did what did that do with them? Well, what it do was they were shamed. That was the first thing what they felt. They felt shame, so they hide themselves in the woods. And the next day, for God, nothing changed, and he walked there, or she walked there, and so he and call out. Hey, where's Adam? Normally we're walking here together. So Adam, where are you? Adam, where are you? No Adam. Adam was hiding himself in shame. And is that not what guilt is doing with us? We know somewhere in our hearts, I think in our souls, what good is. But we're doing the opposite. And that makes us feeling guilty. So what we're doing instead is we put rules and regulation upon ourselves. We fill that gap. And we think if we have rules enough, the world will be a perfect place. Well, we can agree that it's never going to happen, because this world is not a perfect place. So what is the cure? Well, I think many teachers, and I think Buddhism is teaching that, But also the teachings of Jesus is teaching us that, because Jesus is called the second Adam. You know, in the Bible, he's the perfect person. And he never came to condemn people. He brought people back to the moment before they eat the apple. So he spread radical grace. You're included. It doesn't matter what you believe. It's not about how you live or whatever. He just teaches us to go back to our souls. And there's no condemnation there for no one. So we should go back to our soul, and that's where the real spirituality is getting involved. Because that's, and I said it in the video before, that's the way from our head to our soul, from our head to our hearts. That's the road. That's spirituality. So, I want to encourage you. Break through the brokenness and all the thoughts and all the rules and regulation, and start finding the rules that are written in your heart. Because love, you find love there. And love has its own rules. And it doesn't need 10 commandments to keep you abiding or sticking to the law. It's already here. If you find yourself, you find your heart, and if you find God in there, you don't want to disturb the earth. You don't want to spread brokenness. You're going to heal, and you want to spread healing. So, I encourage you a bit and give you something to think about. And remember, I'm not talking to you only. I'm talking to myself as well. So, if you want to know something about more of what I'm doing and the retreat that I'm doing in Scotland next year, visit me on www.thelionsclan with double N.com. Thelionsclan.com. Hope to see you there. Bye bye.